What is Solana? Unless you are completely broke or have been living in the woods, I'm sure you use, or at some point would have used, prepaid cards or credit cards like Visa. Now, you can imagine there would be millions of people just like you carrying out billions of transactions through the Visa network. How strong and fast would the Visa network need to be to carry out such a humongous volume of transactions, right? You're right. So much so that when it comes to measuring the speed of blockchain networks, the comparison is always with Visa. And believe me, the most popular blockchains, Bitcoin and Ethereum networks, aren't that fast. So, in this video, I'm going to introduce you to Solana, why it is said to become the Visa of the crypto ecosystem, and how it is better than Ethereum. Make sure you stick around, as by the end of this video, I will share some important limitations of Solana too, so that you're not carried away by only the good stuff. Sounds good? Let's get to it. What is Solana, and how did it come into the spotlight? Solana was founded in 2017, but in August 2021, the price of SOL, the cryptocurrency that helps power Solana, suddenly spiked from around $30 at the beginning of the month to around $75 3 weeks in, drawing mainstream attention to the Solana blockchain. The main reason for the sudden attention was the launch of Degenerate Ape Academy NFTs, the first major NFT project to launch on the Solana blockchain. If you haven't already, make sure you watch our videos on NFTs to understand exactly what NFT is, why people pay for it, how you can buy it and sell them, and most importantly, how you can avoid scams. Anyways, like Ethereum, Solana is a blockchain, which has its own cryptocurrency, SOL, and serves as a platform to host decentralized apps, or dApps. But Solana is not just another blockchain. It's got the Visa of Crypto tag for a reason. So, how did Solana get the Visa of Crypto tag? Well, the Visa network handles around 1,700 transactions per second, although Visa claims it can handle a whopping 24,000 transactions per second if there is a need someday. In any case, this is huge in contrast to the transaction speed of Bitcoin and Ethereum. At present, Ethereum can process approximately 15 transactions per second, and Bitcoin processes only approximately 7 transactions per second. So, if 1,700 transactions take place with the Ethereum blockchain at the same time, it would take several minutes for it to process, whereas Visa could process it literally within a second. Now, multiply the transactions to millions or even billions over days, months, and years. The accumulation due to a slower network can delay your transaction significantly. Wouldn't you prefer Visa over Ethereum then? Another consideration, and personally more important for me, is the transaction fee. Ethereum, or any blockchain for that matter, requires the computational effort to execute a transaction on the network, which is called gas. You can think of it as the fuel that allows it to operate, in the same way that a car needs gasoline to run. It is slightly complicated how gas fees are calculated, but the more the demand, the higher the price, right? So, if more users are using the network at the same time, that is, if the network is congested, the gas fee increases. At present, the gas fees for Ethereum are approximately $15 per transaction. The Visa network, on the other hand, has varying transaction fees, often as a percentage of the transaction amounts. So for smaller amounts, like $100 or even $1,000, Visa will be much more beneficial, and it doesn't make sense to transfer these amounts over Ethereum. Limitations of both transaction speed and transaction fees translates into the scalability issue with blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum. If hundreds of millions of people start using Ethereum, its transaction time would be delayed significantly, and transaction fees would go through the roof. Therefore, even though the blockchain seemed theoretically a better alternative, its use case for mass adoption seems difficult. Until Solana. Any guesses how fast Solana is? Well, the Solana blockchain can process more than 65,000 transactions per second. At this point, let me clarify that the transaction speed in blockchain can vary depending on factors like the total network activity, hash rate, and transaction fees. So transaction speed is approximate, but the Solana blockchain is still way faster. Apart from transaction speed, the transaction fees of Solana are significantly lower. The average cost of transactions in Solana is 0.00025 cents. So, even if you want to transfer $1 to your friend just for the fun of using blockchain, you can do it over the Solana blockchain. In Ethereum, you would end up only paying the gas fees and your friend wouldn't get anything. Ultimately, the transaction speed and the transaction fees make Solana scalable and optimized for micropayments like a $1 transfer, which is not possible in Ethereum. Considering these benefits, Bank of America published a research note saying that the analyst expects Solana could become the Visa of the digital asset ecosystem. Now that you know how Solana is better, let's understand the technology which makes Solana so fast and so cheap. Solana uses a modified version of proof of stake called a proof of history approach. If you don't know what any of that means, don't worry, we gotcha. The proof of stake itself is a better alternative to the proof of work approach of Bitcoin. In simple terms, proof of work is a competitive approach to verifying transactions, where the miners earn Bitcoin by verifying transactions in blocks on the blockchain. This approach is slower and results in higher fees. In the proof of stake approach, you can pledge or stake your coins to a validator. These validators are similar to miners in the proof of work blockchain. Now, instead of competing with other computers, validators are selected to add the next block of transactions based on several factors like the size of their stake, the period of staking, and such other criteria. The idea is to reward the network participants based on the level of their commitments. This is faster and cheaper in relative terms compared to the proof of work concept. Solana uses an even better version of proof of stake called proof of history. Solana co-founder Anatoly Yakovenko published a white paper in November 2017 describing the proof of history concepts. Proof of history is exactly what the name suggests, proof of historical events. In the white paper, Yakovenko notes that the blockchains were then publicly available did not rely on time. Each node in the network relied on its local clock without knowledge of any other participants' clocks in the network. Therefore, waiting for confirmation on time across the network before moving forward resulted in delays. In proof of history, a historical record is created to prove that an event has occurred at a specific moment in time. The time passage is recorded in the distributed ledger itself, which every node in the network can rely on. Let me try and simplify this with an analogy that we can all relate to. The universal standard time that we follow today was established during the 19th century to aid weather forecasting and train travel. It was applied globally in the 20th century by dividing it into time zones. In the absence of this universal standard time, can you imagine the chaos? We wouldn't even be able to set up a cross-country Zoom meeting, much less perform complex scientific calculations that rely on time. Computer nodes in the blockchain face a similar issue. If you transfer $100 to your friend over Ethereum, computer nodes have to communicate back and forth, not only to agree on a transaction, but even to agree on the time at which a transaction is taking place. This chatter causes a lot of delays. Solana overcomes this by setting up a standardized clock for computers similar to human standard time. Although it is a little more technical than that, I think you get the gist. Alright then, before you get all hyped up to invest your money in Sol, let me explain some legitimate criticism that it faces so you can make informed decisions. But first, if you find this video valuable so far, please give it a thumbs up. It makes us feel appreciated for all the hard work we put into making videos. Okay, so if you know the channel already, you would know we don't sway you to invest in crypto with one-sided arguments. So, as great as the Solana technology is, it faces three main challenges. The first is the lack of transparency in Sol supply. In November 2021, accusations were made that Solana had lied about the total circulating token supply and had created millions of new tokens. The Solana's founder, Anatoly Yakovenko, clarified that the tokens were lent for 6 months to a market maker to provide liquidity in the aftermarket. While the purpose of the coins seemed reasonable, many community members were concerned with the lack of transparency. The second challenge is the centralization of blockchain. Some of the aspects of Solana are centralized, which is controversial because fundamentally a blockchain needs to be decentralized. Approximately half of the token supply is owned by venture capitalist firms and other insiders. If you compare it with Ethereum, insiders only hold 15% of Ether. Also, just 19 nodes hold over a third of the cumulative stake and therefore validate over a third of transactions on Solana, which again is a centralizing feature. The third and most relevant criticism, for me at least, is the network outages. A blockchain is inherently distributed and not dependent on a single server. So when the blockchain network goes down, it's a big deal. That means each node on the network faced the same problem at the same time, which made the entire blockchain network go down. For example, in September 2021, the Solana network was offline for 17 hours due to resource exhaustion. This again could be a result of the network being centralized. A small group of developers can make a unilateral decision like shutting down the network. But to be fair, other blockchains may face this problem. Bitcoin and Ethereum have experienced brief moments of downtime too. As Solana co-founder Yakovenko said to his community on Reddit, if it takes 2 years to build, it will take 2 years to stabilize. Okay then, that's it for this video. Let me know, what do you think of Solana? With its speed and transaction fees, do you think it will replace Visa in the future? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to show your appreciation for our efforts, and consider subscribing so you don't miss our next bite-sized explained video on crypto. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.